So, in my cup, there is not tea but beer. It is white beer, Bavarian white beer. I like it a lot. It's made of wheat. I want to talk about chaos. I want to talk about disorder. I want to talk about discord. Yes. So, I looked at the entry in the Webster where everything is ordered. And here it says a state in which behavior and events are not controlled by anything. This is very difficult to understand, this absence of anything. There is a second entry on the essential meaning, which I enjoy a lot more. It says, the state of the universe before there was any order and before stars and planets were formed. I like this a lot. It implies a sequence. It implies that order follows out of chaos. I like this a lot. And I agree on this setting of this sequence, of this hierarchy, that chaos comes before order, that order comes out of chaos. Maybe we can even argue that chaos produces order. Or maybe it is wiser to say that the mind is able to fix an order, to set an order, to convince itself of an order by choosing points within this chaos and putting them in a sequence. There was a time in my life when I was a diver. So I took people with me into the ocean. And the ocean is quite a fitting image if we think of chaos that out of which order emerges. Yes. So, when you are in the ocean and you are equipped with a tank of compressed air, it is a very special feeling. It is special because it is so absurd that you can breathe underwater, that you can float there. It almost defies natural laws. But it is so pleasing because we use other laws to find the loophole. So every once in a while, one of the people that were put in my care, that I was responsible for, did not belong in the ocean, were not equipped to withstand this state of absurdity. Their natural instincts of self-preservation would kick in, and out of themselves they would instinctively try to rush towards the surface as the only logical as the only conclusion was return rather, to an environment they are accustomed to. So this is quite bad for your health if you try to rapidly decrease the pressure of your metabolism when dealing with compressed air. It is in fact a result of this loophole. The price you pay for entering the loophole is that the restrictions increase. Yes. So the worst case scenario would be that the compressed air that are in your veins, in your blood veins, would expand as pressure decreases, as you rush towards the surface, and rupture tissue. So it was my obligation to stop such chaotic and erratic behavior. And before we jumped into the ocean, you had a look at the people that were on the boat with you. I looked at how they donned their equipment, at how they moved. And you could sometimes tell already the kinds of people that were prone to panic attacks. Yes, the panic attack. The solution is quite simple. You grab them by the arm and you pull them towards you and you look them in the eye. And while the one hand is fixed on the panicked person, the other hand I used to put it in front of my face and move it in accordance to the rhythm of my breathing. So, since you cannot talk in the ocean, language has no place in chaos. But still, you can use signs, you can use symbols. So, you grab the person and you establish eye contact. And you present to the panicked a manifestation of the calm, of the centered. And you play a game. You play the game of monkey see, monkey do. And every time it would work. I don't really know why. There must be some sort of drive towards calmness, centeredness. I mean, if you are in panic, one could argue that it is just as well to commit to it, but maybe not, because that would be a very logical and rational approach. But I don't know. It's just that in my you cannot be the only logical conclusion to this state is death. So maybe the only people that remain truly in this chaotic, panicked state are those that wish, that want to die. And maybe it is that will to live that harmonizes with the presented conditioning, maybe. So I would be unwavering in my calmness, and their panic would be counterbalanced by my calm. More so, the calm would win against death? No one ever taught me when I was still learning to be a diver, when I was still in the process of receiving a piece of paper that would protect me in any legal issues that would arrive. Because if you do not own this certain piece of paper, then you are at risk of being sued. But if you do have this paper, you are within bounds. You are protected by law. I never really understood this. The panic attack. I don't know if I've ever had a panic attack in my life. I need to think about it. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I really don't. But witnessing it does not... You see, I think there is a type of person that will get infected by this energy. And panic, like a virus, can spread through a crowd, through a city, through a country, throughout the world even. But I am able to take this energy in and let it pass through me without it affecting me too much. It's better to say without letting it infect me. I am able to produce antibodies at will. There remain some things where I am as of yet unable to produce the required antibodies, as to not let this certain type of energy infect me. But my training continues. Yes. One of the people that came to the dive store, the dive center, after I had explained to them my views on the ocean and on how to breathe, they asked me, "Are you high?" And at this specific instance, I almost took offense, because I read this as the other person not taking me seriously. Maybe not even me, but the things I had to say that were of regard to the activity we were about to undergo together. So this is a question I have received a couple of times throughout my life. Are you high? It comes from people that are surprised when facing, when meeting, when listening to someone, calmly explaining something and adding maybe their personal flavor or something. Not robotically presenting the expected phrases, that kind of interaction that invites you to engage it, where you do not simply run the algorithm. This is something that many people enjoy, running the algorithm. Good day to you. Isn't the weather nice? Yes, indeed it is. Good day to you. Goodbye. Something like this. Will there be anything else? Will there be anything else? Yeah. I did almost die once in the ocean. That was when I was in Vietnam. I went by myself, which is something that is against the rules. You are supposed to go into the ocean with a buddy. There is the buddy system, so that you do not get lost in the chaos. That you have at least one point of reference. The buddy. It is a good system. But at that time, I had issues with authority. I still do, but they have taken a more holistic nature, maybe. So my reaction to authority in that period of my life was one of spite. So of course, I would go into the ocean by myself with my tank. And at that specific day, I entered the ocean without having a point of reference. Infinite blue around me. Infinite, as far as the eye could see. I was equipped with a compass so that I may find and plot my course to shore. But as I was looking at my compass, I was not looking at my depth meter. And at a certain point, I noticed my field of vision slowly getting smaller. It was like the edges. It was like a lens slowly closing. From the edges, darkness came in. And I understood that my brain was not receiving enough oxygen. I felt it. I felt death approaching. And maybe for a split second, I did enter this state of chaos, but only for a split second. And after that, I knew what I had to do, and I did it. I calmed my breath, and I ascended slowly. If I had given in to this chaos, I would be dead for sure. There was another time I almost died, but that was in Morocco on a road trip, and someone else was driving. A stupid person was driving. So yeah, this flirtation with death it wasn't really that it gave me a new perspective. It was more that it underlined or made much more clear how I already felt. So to me, death is nothing to be feared. I do not fear it. It is natural, very natural. It is just the other side of life. So, I will tell another story. Once I was in California. I was visiting a friend of the family that owned a vineyard. And I was there to help with the harvest. And I was kindly invited to stay with the owner and his wife. At the time, also the mother of... No, it wasn't his wife, it was just like his partner. Also, her mother was there in the house, like an old Spanish, Mexican lady. She would hardly talk, but she seemed very pleased always. Very pleased. So this partner of the vineyard man, she had a dog. And this dog was like a memento of her best friend or something that had passed away. And this dog maybe had cancer or something. They bought medication for this dog that was like very expensive to keep it alive, to treat his disease, his illness. And this dog, it was quite old. It was sluggish, just kind of hanging around. It was quite obvious that it was about to die. That it was in the process of dying. And this made the woman very sad, very, very sad. It seems to me that she was unwilling to accept the laws of the universe. It's quite easy to understand the rules, the laws. But somehow it's very difficult for some people to accept them joyfully. Yes. You can accept in many ways. But I have found that accepting joyfully is one of the best. Yeah. So one night, the dog started crying, like making noises of pain, maybe, of suffering, maybe, I don't know. Those kinds of noises. And this made the woman even sadder as usual, since it was becoming increasingly difficult to pretend that this dog was not in the process of dying. So, to the wails of the dog, the woman started to cry as well. This was in the night. It was maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30. I was in bed already, but I was listening, or I heard her cries of pain, her lament against the laws of the universe, her unwillingness to accept how nature functions, how life functions. My mother used to say that the only thing that you have to do is to die. And I agree very much. I think it is a very precise comment on the laws of the universe, on the laws that govern man and woman. The only thing you have to do, that you must, is to die. Maybe there will come a time where even this law is proven wrong. Some kind of cyborg something. But this discussion is for another time. So this woman with her dog, that she did not want to die, that she did not want to leave, that she was willing to pay a high price to medicate this dog so as to allow it to remain on this mortal plane just a bit longer. She was crying with this dog. And I thought about what this implied for me. I knew that it was somehow customary to comfort a person that is grieving. But I said to myself, well, she has her partner that is like near her, and on some level, I disagreed very much with her, let's call it, point of view, maybe, that death is something to be terribly panicked and to be panicked about and to despair over. So it would be, that was my interpretation or my reasoning at the time. It would be false of me to present this algorithm of comfort, this act of what's the words? Like, everything will be all right. Oh yes, don't worry, everything will be all right. Something like that, yeah? That is the standardized formula. The standardized spell to counteract grief and despair. A lie. Everything will be all right. I say everything will be. And that is enough. More than enough. So, the next day, this woman, she approached me and she told me that that she was almost offended by me not getting out of bed and going towards her to present some sort of words of comfort. She told me that this made her feel bad. And I could almost not believe my ears. I had a very hard time of understanding her point of view. I mean, I think I still kind of have a hard time, but less so. In my view of the world, this grief is something that you allow to take hold of you, yes? To think of the past, of this dog I told you before was kind of interlinked with this friend that had passed away. Like the ghost of this friend was in the dog, and now the dog was going to die, and oh no, there will be no living thing anymore on the world that allows me to remember. Yeah. I was very baffled by her critique. I think she even asked for me to excuse myself for that I say sorry for it, which I did not. But I think she asked for it. I don't remember too clearly. So yeah, that's my stance on death. It's just something that happens. More so, It is that which gives value to the time spent. Not maybe that it gives value, but it allows us very much to attribute value to the things we do on this mortal plane. Yeah? Very much. The chasm, the abyss, the chaos. There was a time I loved chaos very much. I considered myself a devotee of chaos. There is a goddess of chaos. Her name is Eris. And the Romans used to call her Discordia. And there is a very nice story in where her actions are described quite tellingly. So Zeus had organized like a party for the marriage of Thetis, something like that. For the parents of Achilles, Peleus and Thetis, yeah. Those two were getting married, and Zeus was kind of organizing the party of their marriage. And since he prided himself on his like party throwing skills, he thought it wise not to invite Eris, who was the goddess of discord. Makes sense not to invite such a deity to a merry gathering. So this goddess, Eris, she took offense. She took offense for not being invited. And her plan for revenge, or rather her answer to this snub, was to fashion an apple out of gold, a golden apple. And on this apple, she inscribed the words, "For the most beautiful," for the prettiest. Yeah. And as the party was going on, she kind of, I don't know how she did it, but she passed by the entrance and rolled this golden apple into the gathering. So the three pretty goddesses that were invited to this wedding party were Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite. And each of them issued a claim for this apple, because of course they were the most beautiful and the just recipient of this apple. And this, interestingly enough, caused disorder, caused discord within the festivities. And Zeus did not like that at all. So his solution, his proposition for the solution of the problem was to designate a judge, an outsider that was not part of this godly congregation, a mortal. And the guy he chose was Paris. Paris of Troy. And so all three of the goddesses, when they learned that the judgment would be upon this beautiful young man, they went to him and offered him bribes. I think Hera offered him glorious victories in war, and the other bribe I don't remember. But Aphrodite, she offered him the most beautiful woman on earth. She offered that she would make her fall in love with him. And this bribe the young Paris accepted. So this beautiful woman was Helen of Troy, and she was married to the king. I think his name was Menelaus. Yeah. So in a way, this apple of discord brought into being one of the first great wars among men. And I like this story a lot as a description of the workings of this goddess, of Eris, of Discordia. I think I've talked for quite a while now, but maybe I will read a few lines from the Principia Discordia, which is a book that was written in honor of this goddess of chaos. Maybe I will just, before I finish my cigarette, I will think of some quotes that I like from this book. One of them goes, "There is serenity in chaos. Seek ye the eye of the hurricane." And this picture, I love it. I imagine myself, it allows me to imagine myself in the center of the whirlwind, where everything is calm, cleared of debris and detritus, and everything whirls around this central point of utter calm. So at the beginning of the book, there is like an interview with one of the authors, and the name he chose to put on this book was Malaclips the Younger. And the one who poses the questions of the interview, his name is the Greater Poop. So I will just finish my cigarette and read to you the interview. Okay, so the Greater Poop opens the interview by asking, "Are you really serious or what?" And then Malaclips answers, "Sometimes I take humor seriously. Sometimes I take seriousness humorously. Either way, it is irrelevant." The Greater Poop asks, he says, "Maybe you are just crazy." And Malaclips answers, "Indeed, but do not reject these teachings as false because I am crazy. The reason that I am crazy is because they are true." So the Greater Poop asks, "Is Eris true?" And Malaclips answers, "Everything is true." Greater Poop asks, "Even false things?" He answers, "Even false things are true." The Greater Poop asks, "How can that be?" And Malaclips answers, "I don't know, man. I didn't do it." Then the Greater Poop asks, "Why do you deal with so many negatives?" And Malaclips answers, "To dissolve them." The Greater Poop asks, "Will you develop that point?" And Malaclips answers, "No."